Hey all, welcome back. It's Hamburg Mobile Summit Live, and we are a few minutes behind the schedule because we have great speakers and you ask questions. By the way, do not forget to do it in the chat next to the streaming window. With no more delays, let me introduce our next speakers. Let's welcome Matthias and Sagi. Hey guys. Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hey, Sagi, good to see you again during day 2. Marius, welcome. We were waiting for your discussion very much, so let's do it immediately. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hi. Nice to meet you all. So I'm here today with Matthias from SYBO, the great creators of Subway Surfers. I'm personally a player, an enthusiastic player. It's a great pleasure. We met to prepare, but it's one of our first meetings, so it's really a pleasure. So I have a few questions, and I hope you all learn some new things, and because it's a very interesting journey and one of the most significant in mobile short history. So let's start. So kind of aiming towards the indie audience out there is what can you tell them about how it started, lessons about publishing and raising money, and how to get the ball rolling?
Great to be on the talk here, and thank you for having me. SYBO has had a tremendous journey. I think since Sylvester and Bodhi, the Cy and Bo concepted Subway Surfers, it's been a crazy ride. They built something that has turned out to be the most viral hit of all times. We still have more than 1 million daily new installs 9 years after launch. I'm wearing our proud t-shirt celebrating our 9-year anniversary with the game. And we're seeing a lot of good things in the industry happening right now. I think when you talk about the indies, I think we're probably the biggest indie out there, or the smallest of the big ones. But the journey has been super interesting.
So the second part. So advice about or maybe examples, raise money, how much, what do you need in the early start, and how do you complement your skill? Do you go to a publisher, not go to a publisher? What would be your recommendations to people out there?
I think the playbook has evolved over time. I think there's a lot of shared knowledge now that didn't exist 10 years ago in the industry. I think it's definitely worthwhile bootstrapping as long as you can, getting as far as you can with the product to showcase something more than just on paper. We have our credo at SYBO, which is we want to be good on paper but great on device. Because sometimes you can have too many PowerPoint presentations talking about something that unless you can translate it into the device, it doesn't really exist. And I think as founders or as starters of a new project, you want to get as far as you can to pitch something very concrete to potential investors. But then you need money to hire the next engineer and to hire the next artist or to complement your team. And therefore, I think finding the right investor or publisher is crucial for many startups.
And you mentioned you still have 1 million daily installs, and we discussed it a little bit, but it was a rumor to me that most of it, or all of it almost, is organic. So how do you do it, and what's the secret?
I think there are many ingredients in that wonderful pie. I think definitely the best way or the reason we've been able to keep our virality is the freshness of the game. People seeing Subway Surfers will recognize it from way back when they played it the first time, but people who haven't played still thinks it looks fresh and nice. We're visiting a new city every 3 weeks on the world tour, so the crew goes to new cities. Right now we're in Chang'an in China. We've visited more than 50 iconic cities over the world, and we keep it fresh like that. And then I think it's a matter of being at the right time at the right place, but then keep challenging yourself. This year is the first year where we actually rolling out new player-facing features, and we look forward to delight our fans with new content, not only in Subway Surfers but also in the universe.
So World Tour has been a big part of your ability to keep the players engaged, and your live ops was a lot around it. But if you can share a bit more, that obviously has been really successful for you. But did you try things that failed, or do you have other things in that secret sauce that you can share? How do you keep this franchise running for 9 years? It's really an amazing achievement. I see many game developers, they come, they do something, and then they feel, okay, the next one will be the one that takes us forward. And so it's an interesting deliberation. How do you know that this is the one that, and then how to push it and how to believe in it so much?
I think part of the hints or the feedback you're getting from the market is sort of reception or players interacting with your content. And if you can see that certain things work better than others, then really double down on that. During the many first years of Subway's existence, it was in collaboration with Kilo that handled the global publishing, and now we took it over ourselves. There's a lot of good co-creation happening there. But overall, I think everything that we're trying, and especially things we've tried in the last couple of years, both from our game team in terms of how they develop characters that are perhaps a bit more edgy and a bit more, I wouldn't say provocative, but because they aren't for us, but more inclusive. We're one of the only realistic, semi-realistic or near futuristic games out there where you can actually play all genders. You have disabled characters. You have the whole bandwidth of cultural backgrounds, and you can find yourself and you can feel accepted in the Subway universe. I think the fact that we can keep pushing that and see, then we try a campaign on TikTok that worked, then we double down on that. Then we're trying things, so both from the game team on asset creation, but also from the marketing team. Right now we're having a great Pride campaign. So we're proudly sort of sponsoring the right messages as well. Last year we visited Bali as a green update together with Playing for the Planet, the UN alliance that we established 2 years ago. The fact that we can push green messages and be sort of advocating in the game, I think is also helping us staying relevant for players that perhaps want more than just the break.
And by the way, I think regardless if it brings players or not, at the end, if we do things we believe in, like now it's the Pride Month, we're also, doing a lot of events in the company and with our partners around that, and we have to stand up for what we believe in general. And I think then it resonates in everything you do. And then, so this is really great to hear that this is the company culture and the DNA, which I think is very important. So around DNA, I see myself many cases. I'm the chief DNA maker, and I'm really cautious about the team and how it's structured and what is the vibe. And we had Corona and a lot of talks about it, so probably this is not the main issue. But what do you do as a CEO about your DNA, and where are you taking it with the company and with your location? So what's your thoughts around that?
We have an amazing hub in Copenhagen, and of course I appreciate the beautiful background we were provided by the Hamburg Mobile Summit, but I wish I could also show that the weather is even better in Copenhagen right now. We have an amazing hub of creativity. Denmark is a sort of a fairy tale country. We grew up with H.C. Andersen, and people have spent all their dark hours during wintertime learning to code or playing tabletop games. So I think we have a hub where we want to attract people to, and if there are any engineers listening in, then we definitely have a couple of open positions. I'm obliged to mention that by my bosses. But I think we want to attract people, and we want to create that framework where we can be creative and where we can work together and figure out how we can keep figuring out things. Please remind me of your question. I got carried away by Copenhagen being a wonderful city.
No, I think it was about DNA. So
yes.
And I think Copenhagen and being storytellers, and we spoke a little bit about the region, the dark nights, and
yes.
you were being board players. So So collecting
but I think to answer your question more directly, I think as DNA makers, we definitely had a great thing going with Subway, coming from our founders, being with the old timers, the first joiners of the company. I think we've learned over the years, we've brought in more and more international talents. We're representing more than 25 countries now in our 120-person studio. We want to work with culture. We want to work with how we're kind and how we're trusting each other, how we empower, how we're creating transparency. I definitely see myself as a chief culture officer, but I also acknowledge that we've had learnings along the way, that we've had to kill some darlings and figure out new ways of doing things, and embracing that, and also being humble, saying, "Look, I know some, and I have clear ideas or direction, but I also really need a strong team that can challenge and that can step up and say, look, over here you're not seeing things right, or we would love if this could also be true." So it's a hot pot of good inputs, and then really figuring out the right way, combining all those inputs.
A little bit related to DNA and maybe young developers. So the next game, so you had your hit, it starts running, and then you say, okay, we're going to do more live ops, and this is a big thing. And then when is the right time? How to do the second? How do you measure it? How do you split focus? These are things that are very confusing for a lot of companies. So
I don't think that there's the right recipe. We, in hindsight, I think we've, until recently, we've always had too many things going. Because of the Subway Surfer's success, we wanted to try to challenge the genre with the Blades of Brim that came out in 2015. Still a solid game, one of the most innovative runner engines out there. It wasn't financially as successful because it's a more niche audience, but we're really proud of the tactility, the moment-to-moment gameplay. If we were just about optimizing our revenue, then we would just have doubled down on Subway Surfers. But we have so much of a creative nerve that we needed to cater to that as well. And I think Blades of Brim was an outlet for that. When that launched and we saw that we could sustain a reasonable player base, but not that it would take off and become the next viral hit, we also saw the need to try out different things in the studio. Most of those projects we had to icebox or ramp them down again because they were not fitting what we knew best how to do, or they were too innovative for their time. So the feedback we were getting from partners were, look, this looks interesting, but there's a long way to go if you really want to perfect this new genre-breaking thing. So we definitely have taken 2 steps back, saying now we have a clear strategy where we want to excel in game making within runners, and then we're looking at a couple of different sort of spin-offs, and I think that's something that the players can really look forward to.
So gaming-wise, what's the plan for the future? So excelling in runners, then you have other avenues, or this is something that you think that can take you the next 10 years just to crack how to make runners the next match 3 financial success? Or what's your thoughts around that?
I think that's at least the ambition for any running studio. If we can get to the match 3 profitability, we have a very solid business, and we're proud that we can stay independent and have the traction and virality that we have. Runners is our claim to fame. We are the king of runners, having the best one out there, but also learning from incumbents coming in, saying, what can these features also be part of a runner? We want to challenge ourselves when we soft launch or test out new runners, hopefully later this year or early next year. And then I think in terms of other genres, we are on the whiteboard. We have some things that we believe we can test and that we can see what would work. How does it fit the Subway Surfers IP, and also how can we leverage some of the very skilled people we've brought in from abroad that knows other genres than what we've done traditionally. It's too soon to say. I can just say that I'm excited.
If you're excited, and it sounds really promising. Around Subway Surfer, back to it. So I think one of the really rare things that happen, we see very few examples like Angry Birds and yourself, and well, I have to think about the others, but maybe Omnom, but you managed to create an IP out of a pure game. So we know the other way around. So how's that journey looking like? Are you doing popsicles, or popsicles are not really popular in Sweden? So how's that journey about, building the brand around the game?
Ever since the inception of Subway Surfers, the vision from the founders has been creating the fandom around the IP. The fact that we are character driven, there is a backstory to our characters. We developed a TV show to fold it out, and we have 11 episodes on YouTube, partnering with different broadcasters as well. And the fact that we can tell the story, how do they know each other, what are their fears and hopes, and how is their interaction, mean that we can deepen the relationship with the characters. We've also tested out merchandise in Walmart with collectibles and clothing, and it's something that we really hope to do more of in the future, because it's an exciting way for fans to be able to engage on different plans with the merchandise, or with the IP, with the franchise. So it's something where we feel we can provide a broader experience, and where we feel that the fact that our characters are relatable and inclusive is a sort of USP for us, where we can also say, look, you can experience it on different platforms, and you can be yourself, or you can be who you want to be, even if it's not yourself, in a game where you can try out things.
Okay, I pretty much finished my question. Well, I can talk all day, but I think that they have other speakers as well. So, but what I wanted to ask you is, one, if before we open up for questions, I always probably thinking about what was the smart question that I didn't ask. So if I had to ask you, what should I ask you? Did I miss anything really important that I should have asked?
My funny bone says you should have asked me, where do you apply as engineers to SYBO, and that's at sybogames.com. But the tricky question, I think, is and you alluded to it, is how is it coming up with a second game when you make the blockbuster, and that is tough. I think we covered it a bit, but I think it is really tricky when you have such a big success going. It took us some years to handle the fact that everyone in the studio knew how they were part of making the most viral game ever, the most downloaded game of the world, with now 3.2 billion downloads. That's insane. And I think we've had to retrain the sort of humble approach in saying we know how to do all these things, and we have all these good things going. We can innovate on tech, we can challenge gameplay, we can further unfold the IPs, but all the things we're making, we really want to iterate that we can make something as good as Subway Surfers, even if it's not 3.2 billion downloads.
Cool. So I think now the best thing would be to open up for questions.
Thank you guys for your discussion. Well, I hate to admit it, but I'm an old fan of the Subway Surfers.
Don't hate yourself for that.
Yeah,
don't. 3.2 billion of them. So.
Yeah, well, I hate the word old, like I remember the times when it was launched, and like I used to play a lot, and I should check the game now. I think I haven't checked it for a long time. It's amazing, the lifetime of the game, right? It's really amazing that people still play it. It's cool.
I think we're just getting started. I think we have it's right now a wonderful position to be in, having a game that's still going strong and continuing after 9 years, but also having the best team we've ever had to excel in the next chapters of SYBO. So yeah, I enjoy that old timers or fans from previous years are now refining the game and still seeing that we can keep it fresh and cool.
That's great, but I think it was only possible because you kept working on the game all this time, right? And it helped you to keep the players' interest, and that's the most important thing. All right, so we don't have questions in the chat, but that's maybe because people are a little bit shy. Dear people, do not be shy. It's a great chance to ask the speakers. But if you guys join us on the Dublin Hub, and maybe they will be more keen to ask you in writing. For now, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us and for this amazing conversation. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.